Good morning, children. Welcome back in your English class, and I hope that you all are fit and fine, feeling happy and healthy, and studying at home, and also preparing your notes and also watching your video. Now, children, I want to tell you one thing before starting the new chapter, new topic in today's lecture. I want to tell you one thing, that please watch the video carefully, attentively, and also read your chapter. Please see the video, watch the video, and read your chapter carefully and attentively, and also learn your topic, whatever I am explaining in the video, whatever I have explained in the video. Please watch the video and please read those topics from your book also. Because your half-yearly exam will be started soon, and you will be informed about it later. And you will get the multiple choice question or MCQ question, or you can say that objective type question in your exam. So you will get multiple choice questions and objective type questions from your portion. So whatever I am explaining, whatever I am giving you the discussion, whatever I am explaining the topic in the video, please watch and listen the video, and please read the chapter from your book, and each and every paragraph please read from your book. Because MCQ questions means objective type of questions, it is not necessary, essential that the question will only come from the back page of your chapter. It is not necessary, children. So read the book, read the chapter, and watch the video, and listen the explanation, and listen each and every topic carefully and attentively. Okay, okay, children. Now you will. I hope that you will get your point. Now, children, as you know that we have done the chapter, the Summer of the White Beautiful Horse, from the supplementary, and I will send you the PDF of its question and answer with this video. So we have already completed its explanation, we have already completed its summary, all the portion, all the sections we have completed in previous lecture. We have completed, we have finished. So in today's lecture, children, we are going to start the poem from the poetry section, and we have already done two poems, that is a photograph and the Lebanon top. And now we are going, in this today's lecture, we are going to start our third poem, that is the Voice of the Rain. Now the third poem in today's lecture, we are going to start our third poem from the poetry section, that is the Voice of the Rain, composed by Walt Whitman. So children, in today's lecture, we will study, we will discuss, we will study about the poem, that is the Voice of the Rain, composed by Walt Whitman. Now before starting the explanation of the its paragraph, first we let's know about its summary, and let's know about its background, its summary, and also some brief life sketch of its poet, that is the Walt Whitman. So children, before starting the explanation and summary of the poem, that is the Voice of the Rain, composed by Walt Whitman, let's have some brief look over the let's look over the brief life sketch of the Walt Whitman, its poet, the Voice of the Rain, and then after it we will discuss the summary. Children, Walt Whitman was one of the most influential and most remarkable, unique poet of the America, and you can say in simple word, he was the most influential and famous American poet, who was born on 31st May 1819 in New York and died on 26 March 1892 in New Jersey. When Whitman was 2 years old, his family moved towards Broken City, where he spent most of his 40 years of his life. And after and life, and the age of 11 he started working as office boy to earn the living, and he was the second son of the 11 children. And he but at the age of 11 he worked as an office boy, and in 1800, and after that his journey moves on. He moved on, and and then in 1800 after that, in 1844 or between 1840 and 44, he started his newspaper, because he had a curiosity. He had a very deep, intense love for writing, and deep, intense love for composing poems. So his inner capability, his inner capacity, his inner intuition compelled him to motivate towards the poems, toward the composition, towards the writing articles or stories for the magazine. So he started a small newspaper on Long Island, and then after that he started his great career on Long Island. And in early 1840s he had broken into, and also he reported and wrote stories and even delivered it on the horseback. And in 1840s he turned into a professional. He was broken into professional journalism, and then he started writing articles and for the magazines. And then in 1840s, you can say that in 1842, or you can say that before 1842, in the mid 1840s, he became the editor of the Brooklyn Weekly Eagle magazine. And then in 1800, but by the early 1850, he was still working for the newspaper, but his focus had turned to poetries. And then he often inspired by the poetical themes. He often inspired by the poetical nourishment. He often inspired by the poetical gems which was developing in his personality along with his curiosity. So in reference to his curiosity, or you can say that in reference to his love for poetry, in 1855, Whitman published the first edition of his Leaves of Grass in 1855. Now this Leaves of Grass, you can say that one of the most famous and controversial poem, because 12 poems, the volume of Leaves of Grass, the first edition of the Leaves of Grass was a volume of 12 poems which were untitled and unusual. And the green cover of the Leaves of Grass was so attractive and was so influential that it attracted many readers and many scholars and many poets of that time also. And he was an American poet of the 19th century. And along with the Emily Dickinson, he moved towards the journey of his life, the poetic journey of his life. And then he was inspired. He admired, or you can say that he admired or inspired by the one of his you can say that one of the another famous American poet, which was known as Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he was also when he sent one copy of Leaves of Grass to him, and when he got when the Emerson got the copy of Leaves of Grass, when he read the poem, when he went through the poem, then he wrote a letter to the Whitman that I greet you at the beginning of great career. Then Whitman produced approximately 800 copies of the first edition of the Leaves of Grass, and the following year he published the second edition of the Leaves of Grass, which included 20 additional poems. Then in 1860 he published third edition of the Leaves of Grass. So his Leaves of Grass became you can say that he became a sensational book, and and his Leaves of Grass had the theme, has a theme of democratic ideas, has a theme of freedom, has a theme of something transcendent, something which transcends the soul from metaphysical to the spiritual world. So his Leaves of Grass glorifies each and every aspect of human life. The Leaves of Grass glorifies each and every side of the human outlook and understanding and knowledge, and also the philosophy of the life. So Walt Whitman, you can say that Walt Whitman was a very influential, and he was very much, you can say that he was a poet of great knowledge. He was a poet of a great efficiency and capabilities, and he was considered as American bard, because he has introduced himself in the first edition of the Leaves of Grass, in the beginning part of the first edition of the Leaves of Grass, as an American bard. And he's and through Leaves of Grass he sings for the democratic ideas, for the democratic ideals of the nation, and he glorifies the beauty of the human life. And he also he also wants to say that he also wanted to say through his poem that human life is nothing, only a temporary thing which would perish one day, and only the memories, only the soul, only the divine touch will remain forever. And along with Leaves of Grass, he also published Democratic Vistas, Drum Taps, and along with the other contemporary poets like Emerson, Ezra Pound, and Emily Dickinson, he got a fame, he got a name, he got a reputation, he got much references among the American poets. So children, this is the short and brief life sketch of the Walt Whitman, which is the poet of the Voice of the Rain. So children, after the life, a small brief sketch of a poet, that is Walt Whitman, the poet of the Voice of the Rain, let's start the introduction of the poem, that is the Voice of the Rain. Children, the poem The Voice of the Rain, as you know, that composed by Walt Whitman, a famous American poet of the 19th century. The poem is a conversation between poet and the rain. And the rain explains its eternal journey in its birthplace, that is the earth, and it explains its journey to the poet. So in the poem, the poet asks the rain. There are two voices in the poem. One voice is the voice of the poet, and second voice is the voice of the rain. So in the very first paragraph, the poem starts with the first voice of the poem, that is the voice of the poet, when the poet asks the soft falling rain, "Who are you?" This is the voice of the poet. The poet asks the rain, "Who are you?" And who are you? The poet asks, and the rain replies that. Now this is the second voice, that is the voice of the rain. The rain replies that she is the poem of the earth. What she replies? She replies that she is the poem of the earth. This is the second voice of the poem, that is the voice of the rain. And it is a very strange thing that it is a very strange thing for the rain to reply to the poet. The rain told the poet that she cannot be touched as she rises in the form of water vapor in the clouds from the land and the bottomless sea. It changes its shape, yet it remains the same, and the vapor changes into clouds due to condensation. And you know the process of condensation. I hope that you all know about the process of condensation. What is the meaning of condensation? You might have learnt in 8th, 9th or 7th class about the process of condensation. But I tell you what is the process of condensation. In science, the water is evaporated in the form of clouds, water vapor. In the form of water vapor, the water is evaporated and condenses in the sky to form clouds, and then rains down in the form of water into rivers, streams, ocean, ground, and etc. So in this poem, the rain described its eternal journey itself to the poet. So the vapor changes into clouds due to condensation, and I told you about the process of condensation. It falls back on the surface, and further in the poem, the poet describes about the beauty, about the eternal journey of the rain, how the journey of rain is. How the rain glorifies, beautifies its journey, and how he sings for the earth. Earth is its birthplace, and why the earth is its birthplace? Because it evaporated because the rain told the poet that it rises in the form of water vapor in the clouds from the land and the bottomless ocean. So earth is its birthplace because it rises in the form of water vapor in the skies from the earth only. So that is why the earth is its birthplace. So here the poet further describes that it falls back on the surface of the earth, that is its birthplace, to provide water to the drought-prone areas, and also to beautify and glorify the earth. That the earth is its birthplace, and it also provides life to the seas, life to the seeds inside the earth. It provides life to the seeds in the earth and helps them to grow. It generates the life into the seeds which help them to grow. And then rain, in the last para, in the last lines, the poet describes that the rain does not care if anyone bothers about it. It only complete about her deeds or not. The rain does not bother about that. The rain does not think over it that anyone bothers about her deeds or not. And only the rain completes her work and come back its home. And then what happened? In the last lines, the poet compares the journey. Compares the rain with the song. In the last line, the poet compares the rain to the song. So in the last lines, the poet does not care if anyone bothers about her deeds or not. The rain completes her work and come back home. And also further, the poet, the Walt Whitman, compares the rain to the song of the singer, and as they both shares a common journey. The song originates from the heart of the singer and travels across to fulfill the aim, and fulfills the aim and fulfill the theme, and come back with due love for the originator, the love for the singer. In the same way, the rain completes her work and come back. It rises in the form of water vapor in the clouds from the earth and the bottom ocean, and then she completes her work and she falls back on the surface of the earth to provide water to the drought-prone areas, and also to purify and beautify the earth, and then come back after completing the work, after completing her deed task, the rain come back home. So the poet compares the rain to the song of the singer. As the song of the singer, both both have a common journey, both share a common journey, and the song originates from the heart of the singer and travels across to fulfill its aim, to fulfill its task, and then come back with due love for the singer. And when the love come back with due love for singer, the singer came to realize that he has completed his task, that he has completed his mission. That is the mission to fulfill the love, to fulfill the satisfaction, to fulfill the feeling of joy, excitement, mirth into the hearts of listeners. So in the same way, the rain completes its work on the earth and come back home, and the rain satisfied the earth. The rain satisfies the each and every corner of the earth, because the rain fills the earth with droplets of blessings in the form of rain. So here the poem is a very beautiful poem, children, and the poet, this is the summary of the poem, Voice of the Rain. And in next lecture we will start the explanation of the paragraph of the poem Voice of the Rain, composed by Walt Whitman. So we will stop here. Today we will stop here, and in this lecture we will continue, and I hope that we will finish the poem. So children, read the poem after and watch the video. Please watch the video and read the poem at home. And so this is very beautiful poem composed by Walt Whitman. And you know, Walt Whitman, he was very remarkable poet, and he has written this poem. It is a very short poem, Voice of the Rain. It is a very short poem. Although it is a very short poem, but it glorifies, it dignifies, it beautifies the human outlook. It dignifies, it glorifies the human tendency, the cycle of the human life, birth and then death. It is a cycle of the human life. It dignifies the cycle of the human life, children. So it is a very small poem which has a big meaning, which is a big moral, which is a big message to us. And the theme itself contains the glimpses of his outlook, glimpses of his knowledge, glimpses of his thematic objectives, what he wanted to say through his poems, and what he wants to convey through his poems. So all of his poems convey the messages, the morals of human life, and each and every stanza of his poem carries a broad, expanded theme and objective. And of course, it changes. Of course, it's the Walt Whitman's thematic composition changed the American literature to large extent, and that is why he was called as a transcendentalist poet. And you know what is the meaning of transcendentalist? Transcendentalist means the poet. The transcendentalist poet is was the poet who used to write poems. He used to deal the themes of his poem theme of his poem about the divine touch, about the metaphysical world, about the spiritual world. Transcendentalism means rises from the metaphysical, rises from the materialistic world to the metaphysical world, to the world of spirituality. So he was one of the most transcendentalist and spiritualistic poet. And Voice of the Rain is one of the most beautiful and soft and dignified poem of his career, of his life. So children, read the poem from the book, and also we will stop here, and in next lecture we will start the explanation of the paragraphs. So take care of yourself and your family. Goodbye.